Michael just said he's coming in from Fresno, so he might not make it for the beginning of the meeting.
Let's go.
Michael.
Oh,
Hello, Claudia. How are you?
it's you.
Good. Looking forward to seeing all your work. Stuff that you have to work.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that'll be fun. I'm focusing on the fun part.
Well, you take your time. Start studying everything out early.
Yeah.
It'll be more fun.
Yes, yes.
The good thing is we are getting a lot more views on YouTube, so get some people to see it.
What's the doghouse? Is that part of Michael's?
It's a tiny library.
You were gonna set one up?
Yeah, actually, I just called a guy to get a quote for the base,
For what?
for a base for it, so it could be up
Oh, yeah.
So where's it gonna be?
right there.
Oh, it's gonna be in here.
Yeah.
So people from the center can swap those from the loss. You want to start it?
Go for it.
Yeah, Michael, the gal that I worked with at the library event. We were there for Beautiful Life, and she was so excited about your boat. She did for her.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, I guess we'll start the meeting. Welcome, everybody, and welcome to our monthly community meeting. My name is Sandra, administrative assistant here. So I'll start off the meeting. Welcoming everybody, and then I have some Arts Consortium updates. First of all, exciting, South Valley Art Tour is this month, March 28th and 29th. You guys have heard me talk about it. Let's talk about it. So we're doing the finishing touches. We've got our passports in. So if you guys want to take a look at it, take a look at it here. The digital version, the PDF version will be available on our website, starting Friday, March 27th. And then it will be available throughout the weekend, and then will not be available on the Monday after the South Valley Art Tour. Also, the passport does come with coupons this year. There were several artists who decided to opt into the coupon option. So they are gonna be in the physical one that you purchase for $25. But they will also be available online. Some of them are exclusive only to the physical one, so just keep that in mind. And then we have the stamp rally page in here as well. You'll collect stamps, signatures, stickers from each stop. And then if you visit at least more than 14 stops or more, you'll be put into the opportunity drawing for the stamp rally. And we have two prizes this year. So the first one is a $50 voucher for Arts Visalia, and it's good for their adult workshops and the youth classes. So thank you to Arts Visalia for donating that. And also a $50 gift certificate to Kauai Arts. They're the consignment art store up at Three Rivers, and they're also part of the tour. So thank you to them as well for donating that prize. We also have a survey, so any visitors who go on the South Valley Art Tour, we ask if you can take a few moments to do the survey, give us some feedback. It helps us with our planning for next year, for future events, and our grant seeking, the grant seeking process. And then that one also, you can be put into an opportunity drawing for a free Arts Consortium membership. No.
Sandra, can you please explain what you meant by exclusively to the physical one?
Yeah, so the artists have the option to make their coupon available in the physical passport, the one that you have to purchase. So it is $25 right now after the pre-order. So they are, and then since these coupons are also available online, some of them made it only available in here, and so they won't be showing up on the one that you can print out at home. So if you want to have, if you want to have all the coupons that are available to you, then you would have to purchase the actual passport. Does that answer your question? Okay. Let's see what else. I did want to ask your help. We do have these flyers that we have printed out. So if you want to take some with you, hand them out. I can provide them for you. And you can come in throughout March and take some with you. I have a couple, but if you are interested in helping us out, just write your name down. And I can print some out for you, and then you can pick them up whenever you're available. We're open from 10 to 3. I do have some available today if you want to take some. We ask the artists to help us promote your stop and the event. I've noticed some artists that have already done so, so thank you. And then let's see. Oh, one thing that I did want to point out is that some art stops are only open on Saturday. Some of the art stops reached out to us saying that they would have liked to participate in the South Valley Art Tour, but they can only do one day. So, and it just turns out that Tulare is the only stop, the only city that's only doing Saturday. So it's the Tulare Historical Museum, Claudia's stop, and Nikki, which is the same stop. So the two stops that you would definitely want to visit on Saturday. And then I just want to remind you guys that the Watermark Art Contest is still open, and the nominations for Artist of the Year. So get those in. The deadline for those is in May. The date escapes me, but it seems far away, but the deadlines come up really fast. Yeah, it is early. So yeah, get those submissions in. Just to reiterate, we don't need your physical art piece. All you have to do is submit it through email. And if we need additional photos of your art piece, if you win, then we'll ask you to bring it in or give us more images yourself. Yeah, and that's all for me. So if you have any questions, let me know. But at the end of the meeting, the passports are, like I said, they're available. So if you want to purchase one today, they are for $25. 102.
Wait, guys, Sandra. So yeah, the deadline for the water contest is May 15th at midnight. Yeah, midnight or you can come home work and still put something together if you haven't yet. We're gonna be talking a little bit about today's arts now. But before that, I guess, no, go ahead. We have a couple of changes. So for marketing, sponsors, and donors, for food vendors, for performers, and interactive booths, we're going to create all of those around the Google Forms. You can still fill in the paper form if you prefer that, but it just makes our whole life easier if we can put those directly in the forms. We are looking at a deadline for for all of the above, so for marketing, food vendors, performers, and interactive, as June 24th. So Wednesday, June 24th would be the deadline for anybody that would be a performer or an interactive booth, or food vendor, or marketing, donor supporter.
That's right.
It'll be June 24th, Wednesday, June 24th.
What day is it?
17th, October 17th. And that is our PCR. From 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Our artist booth registration is going to be very similar to last year. We have our marketing deadline on August 5th. So that means that if you want the cool artist spotlights to be put out on social media, if you want to be included on the booth directory on the event page, just like a list that put on Patreon where they can find you, you have to submit your application and complete it by August 5th. The last day to register at all for PCR will be October 7th, so the week before PCR. But again, if you wait that long, unfortunately, we will not be including any of our marketing stuff. Just because it's really hard to include everybody. And if you were not aware, our graphic designer, Jason Bob, is no longer working with us. He has been living in Wisconsin for a while, and his last day was last Friday. So we're going to miss a whole lot. He made amazing things for us. You've seen our magazine, the cover of the magazine was just exceptional. All the templates that are all of the first Friday graphics that we have are templates that he perfected. And yeah, we're just going to miss a lot. So if you're out there watching, Jason, thank you very much. Yeah, I'll cheers with the microphone. The marketing application, we are going to add merch donations. We've had a lot of calls for merchandise opportunities. But every time we've tried it, we run into one competition or another, whether it's the design of it all, whether it's production, the printer activity for it, or even really the selling it all. So we are hoping that we have supporters out there who are willing to have us some merch that we sell at our Tasty Arts Festival, either totes or shirts and pens. And we can connect with those donors to provide you the official logo of the Arts Consortium.
So they'll make Arts Consortium merch.
Yeah, and we're also requesting prizes for our artists and guest surveys. So if you have a community or your day who is really going to help us get even a better response from our community by writing a little bit, please help us do so. Feedback is super important, and we really appreciate all of every single year. We did at least one really good tidbit of advice. So thank you all very much. Yeah. Our performer application, we wanted to bring this as a community, so since we have a crowd here, you get to decide. Our big question, and we understand that performers are a very different kind of artists, and particularly the studying performers and leading performers, which we love having. And so we were talking about maybe asking for an application for these performers, and if not that, then asking for to serve at the safety time zone. A lot of times when we get applications, the applicants provide us with an ideal time we'd like to do that. But because of the way all our arrangement goes and just to make it nice and neatly, we sometimes have to judge people around. And so we are offering it this year for a fee. We pay it back to the reserve tax. So if the community has any input, this would be time to do this. Come on.
Would this be like more of like a first come, first serve basis, or is it like bidding for our ideal slot.
So the question is, would this be a first come first served basis, or would it be a bidding war? And we don't want to get into a bidding war. So we would create event right basically where people could see what slots were available and what wasn't.
So how much do you think you're not charging?
We're gonna be flat out. We had to do that. Right, so we weren't sure if the community was going to. It was a bit different, so. We're putting it out.
So I would think they pay a small fee, but
Yeah, I mean, what do you, what would you suggest?
I mean, I'm thinking $25 or something.
25 bucks to the river kind of one?
Yeah. I would think too, like, could it be like an inclusive price, like if the performer also is vendoring at Tasting Arts as well?
We haven't had too many performers doing that, except for the picture folks.
Yes.
The picture folks and our artists of the year, do get a fun back and forth. So that's a little different, especially with the picture art, because we usually do work with those artists, making sure that we have some of the covering images. So we do work very closely. So that way they can still participate in the public. But
Do the food vendors, do they have any?
yeah. And that's actually my next point was, are there any more ideas or are there any more performers? Honestly, like, if anyone's like, well, that's not fair, like, performers, whatever, then we'll do it.
Well, so the performers are usually dance studios and who else?
Mostly the dance studios, and, from my understanding. Dance studios.
I mean,
Yeah.
So. I mean, I also would think of, the only thing outside of that is me making a bid for Mike to get to bring up performers and poets, but if it is like a reasonable fee, then. I don't like covering that from that organization.
yeah, but that makes sense, if you're for profit, you would send it for a small fee.
What was it last year? What was the set?
Well, this is exactly what I was just saying earlier, where they signed up and they gave us their little nice model. There's, some people ask for half hour, some people ask for 40 minutes. It's really tough to get people in right away.
I think the digital schedule, having them post something on Eventbrite is gonna make it easier for everyone. Can you do this? Can you not? That's the question.
And you can also set that right too, that like. To like close off or have a limited like amount of space for specific hours as well.
What I'm thinking is it would be like 5-minute increments.
Yeah.
That they purchase.
I agree.
5-minute increments, that way somebody could choose 20 minutes, somebody could choose 30 minutes.
Oh,
45 minutes, and it's still be stuck in that.
Oh, I see.
So it wouldn't be like everybody will lose it.
Yeah.
I don't think that there might be a better platform than Eventbrite. I know like there are websites that are specifically for like booking appointments. So if we were to like utilize those sites instead, because then what it basically does is it'll block off the calendar for everyone who's associated with that account to indicate like this hour has already been claimed or whatever else.
So everybody will do that.
Okay.
I mean, we're super.
Yeah.
Did the performers have to pay last year?
No.
Like, how do you think they'll look at it? I mean, we want performers, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I think you need to tell them, we need to try to break even on this event.
That's the biggest thing, because our money is no longer not a lot of. And so these are things that we're trying to kind of like. That's a lot of there's a time it was searing mind.
Just to let them know why.
Yeah.
The fee sounds like it makes sense. I just wasn't sure, you know, if we're gonna get pushback from, hey, I didn't have to pay before.
Right.
Hopefully they'll understand. I think most people are reasonable and.
Yeah. And we do have a very regular group of performers that show at the Tasty Arts, and so we very usually if our community here, who is present at our community meeting, I think it's a good idea.
That was a necessary change, and I think it's gonna be a good one, yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, so yeah, so nobody's coming on that watching me, so I have not like people are agreeing, and I know you can't hear because of the microphone, but I think we're gonna go ahead and move forward and get those performers to we're making that change. Yeah,
And what about the food vendors?
the food vendors do our also the prices. Health purposes of these too.
Everything.
And it's really easy to do. Yeah, and I mean, they had a decrease and we had targeted again because it's really. This is our part of our package, we already have the meeting, but we don't have what we need. So we really need to be careful how we still have things. We use kind of displays over the board. So now lower risk, if we somebody brings 2 package stuff, we'll pay $110 fee. Somebody who is assembly food but not cooking it will have $160 fee, and somebody who's actually cooking on site will $203 fee. We did research, and our prices are still actually lower than a lot of other festivals that offer a meeting crowd. We think our price is very low, so yeah, we think it's good. And again, we're reaching out to our regular vendors. Hey, these changes are coming up, please be ready for them. So, yeah, I think that's all I have to say. Does you have questions? And then, okay, so we're gonna move on to a little personal news, and I try not to bring my personal life into work, but it's sort of inevitable right now. My wife and I having my first child at the beginning of April. And thank you very much. And so I will actually be out of the office from the 20th of March to June 20th. So Sandra will be here. Michael will be taking over for one of our projects, and you will all get to see how little I'm sure necessary.
I feel like a baller around today.
But I'm very happy to be able to say this is just yeah, I'm just so and yeah, that's all for myself. We're looking at bringing up our artist of the year. Now, if you don't know right now, Michael Jasso is our 2025-2026 artist of the year. Awesome community member, community builder, and he's brought some of his typewriters here with us. He's actually got 3 of them. You can't see one on the camera yet, but they all work. And so, without further ado, Michael Jasso.
Thank you all very much for being here or whole state with me, and I feel like the crowd that is here will be an opportunity for a much more in-depth Q&A or chance to ask questions afterward. I did not really prepare anything for my artists. You know, this is like I'm going to go on the fly and go into talking about, you know, where I stopped, started, what opportunities poetry has opened up for me, what opportunities it can open up for others, and I close off by talking about where I see my career going right now. So I think the best place to start is with some of the most common questions that I get, and the first one will be why poetry. And I feel like it's a bit of a loaded question. I feel like there are a lot of reasons why I decided to lean towards poetry or lean towards spoken word specifically, but it became a way of expression that I wasn't able to see anywhere else. I graduated from Berkeley in 2012, and That is where I first got my love for spoken word, was taking creative writing classes on campus. I was not any kind of honor roll student. I actually failed my first year of freshman English, and I had to take remedial courses. But I think poetry ended up kind of being that element bringing the practical writing out of me. It significantly helped my English courses. It significantly helped me get a lot better at the different writing practices involved with it. So I've never been a big fan of saying that poetry saved my life. I know a lot of people like to proclaim it, but for me, poetry, my life is the ocean, and poetry is just the vessel that I'm giving. So poetry in a way is something that eventually eventually will allow to grow up, something that whether I continue slam for the remainder of my career, or I begin transitioning to other forms of writing, or even branching out into other ways of creative expression, then so be it. I'm just trying to look along for the ride and going by whichever direction the universe decides to take me. And so I think this exhibit that I see around you is one of those transitions that I need to be with the craft. I think build that bridge, connecting my love for poetry, but also connecting it to a visual. So when I was awarded Artist of the Year, one of the benefits that I was offered was to exhibit in this wonderful gallery space consortium, and being the stubborn person that I am, because it is a challenge. I know I was sitting down with MPO after that first initial meeting, and I think I had maybe a dozen different ideas swirling around on like, how am I going to bring poetry to this space, or how am I going to take on that challenge of showcasing a style of artwork that is typically only found in books, or found in publications, or even seen on a stage for performance. How can I visualize that into what you see here today? And I must have brainstormed at least a dozen different ideas. I must have spitballed these ideas off of Helio, off of Tracy from Arts Consortium, as well as like a good handful of my other artist friends. And I think definitely some editing and some fine tuning, we were able to conceptualize the concept that I see here today. Now, originally, I was thinking of like, oh, I'm going to buy giant sheets of paper. I'm going to buy giant rolls, and I'm just going to like scroll on them like some kind of ancient scribe, and I'm going to just break the walls over it. So it'd be nothing but walls of words on every square surface of the space. That wouldn't work out. I was even thinking, oh, let me go ahead and get a bunch of cardboard boxes and let me paint them to look like a stage. And I'm going to have a cardboard microphone standing right here. So it's going to kind of be like a permanent stage during the exhibit. That didn't obviously work out. So concept came from these simple machines. I decided to travel a bit back to the past for my gallery inspiration. I follow a ton of different poetry accounts for publications for only artists, but one of the coolest ideas that I've seen on social media, as I can see some of my closest poetry start doing, is this concept of finding a vintage typewriter, setting it up on a street corner to bus and to offer to write poems on spot. So I thought, that's not really cool. I want to do that. I saw one of my closest friends in the Senate community, RJ Walker, started doing it back in his city of Salt Lake City. So I think I took inspiration from that last summer, and I ended up purchasing my first typewriter last July of last year. So, and that would be this machine right here. And this is a 1961 Sears Towers Patient machine that was available in the Sears catalog for about 8 months before it was eventually pulled and then rebranded as the Towers Patient 88. So this machine has been affectionately called Sylvia after Sylvia Plath. So the only thing I can really say about her is I do my best to keep her away from ovens. And Paleo gets it. So, and it's a dark joke. Yeah, so I ended up finding a friend of mine who also offers to do this thing striking and it has been very stylish and very stands out when I take it to different events. And then just a couple of months later, I purchased my second machine here, the Smith Corona Galaxy 10. And this has been probably one of my most favorite machines that I take to the list, even the fact that it types super personally. And so, especially with the Valentine's Day passing up, I really love new machines to do typewriter albums and custom Valentine's cards. So the touch of the person's typing actually was very popular amongst those. I believe I was set up on the corner of Olive and Michelle in the Color District of Fresno, Valentine's Day evening, right across the street from the Color Theater. And in that single night, I made $300 just offering poems to people to write them custom Valentine's Day cards while they were out partying, out drinking, and out having a good time as most of us do. And so this ultimately became the inspiration for this event. And then even when I began pitching the idea to Helio, I told him, I've been working on this series of microphones that will be typed out on these finished typewriters. I guess he initially saw the idea of still plastering the walls with just a bunch of poems. So I think he originally was thinking that the idea of a gallery would be what we have in this space here, just all over the walls, just all these random poems. I decided to add this visual element to it by doing painters. Again, I was probably just browsing social media, browsing YouTube, watching Instagram reels, and one of my hyperfixations ended up being watching videos of people doing paint, where they take acrylic paint, they'll mix multiple colors in layers in a cup, and then just do the pour on the canvas and let do it work and just let the paint spread and then come up with these really cool like melting or cell designs on the canvas. And I figured this might be the visual element that I needed for my art. This might be the element that I need to showcase this poetry in a unique way. I wanted to find something that I think would have reflected an artistic process that would have reflected saying that I'm about my writing process with all of these microphones, which are being written on the spot within a matter of minutes and specifically catered to people who are offering a writing prompt, subject, or a theme in that moment. So I get a prompt, I get a theme, and within a couple of minutes, I will generate these original poems. So that's what I've really seen my style of creativity and writing really leading towards is I think the sense of instant art or instant showcase of poetry. I mean, I see a lot of artists. I think of it very similar to people who do caricatures on the street, where you are vending and you set up a booth and you offer to draw people on the spot within a couple of minutes. It's the same thing, but instead we're taking the approach of telling someone else's story in those two components. And the response I've gotten has been incredibly positive and incredibly beautiful to have just these finite moments of connection with sharing. And that's honestly, I see my role with poetry definitely transitioning out of spoken word, out of slam competition. I decided to take a break from competing in poetry slams this year to focus on the various projects that I have with being Artist of the Year, doing all these events and practicing more with type of poetry. But even then, like spoken word is still something so passionate. It's going to be it's going to be the last heaven when it gets severed. And so in the meantime, I will keep offering opportunities to promote poetry, to promote spoken words, to advocate for our local poets in the Central Valley and Loudmouth, and I will still do my best to pass on the way down. But I'm just excited to see what opportunities come out of this. That's all I pretty much had in mind to talk about with you all today. So with the remainder of our session, I do want to open it up for questions and talk more in depth if you have any specific things you'd like to know. And then I'd also like to even demonstrate like what we like in the type of sessions.
Thank you. So question.
Yes.
I was thought poetry was rhyming, couplets and whatever they are. I've never heard of your kind of poetry.
So the question was, does poetry also have to rhyme? And as someone who hasn't written rhyming poetry since high school, I can say that doesn't have to. I think poetry, when it's taught, we are studying specific forms, we are studying different structures of poetry, because it will tie back to grammatic practices as well. So, and specifically with spoken word, the spoken word movement is, I also start functioning with meaning spoken word is moving past old society. We have such a history of storytellers, of griots, of shamans, and people who are passing on history through the art of storytelling, through spoken word. You can see it all the way back to the ancient Greeks doing theater and doing performance. You can see it back to all the native tribes of the Americas. You can see it in, you can see history of like some of the first written languages coming out of Central America, out of Africa, and these are all people just passing on stories. But for all of that, the only way that we would know history is through telling the story and speaking it out loud, speaking it into existence again. So specifically, the slam movement, as we call it, got its origin in the 1980s in the bar cities of Chicago. The idea of spoken word, the idea of slam poetry was to make poetry accessible again to everyday people, to make poetry something that isn't so rigid, isn't so academic. And I think a lot of people for a long time have used academia as a sense of privilege and a sense of maintaining status quo, or even to, I think, make people feel inferior. Like, oh, you don't understand the poetics well enough, like I do, therefore your opinion is completely invalidated. You don't know poetry, I don't know poetry. So that's even like what you see a lot of with the beat movement in the 50s, with poets like Will Williams, Jack Kerouac, and Allen Ginsberg. It was very much, I think, the slam poetry movement got a lot of its influence and inspiration from the beatniks, as well as the same way the beatniks got its inspiration from the romantics of the 1850s and 1900s. So poetry, I think, is what poetry should be, much like how our language is constantly evolving. Poetry should evolve alongside.
Yeah,
Do they, is there anybody in the slam that actually uses some kind of writing or?
We do still have poets who will rhyme. We still have poets who will follow specific structures and forms. I think most recently at our lecture, we have our Grand Slam champion, JP Raposa, compete with a poem that is becoming more popular again, where the poem is read in one direction, but if you read the poem backwards, line by line, it becomes a completely different poem. So there's a lot of different structures that play along with it, and there are still a lot of poets who do practice certain formats and structures. Like one of the funniest examples I can think of is at a lot of these major poetry slam festivals that we get to attend. There's always going to be side events that are themed after different styles of poetry or specific identities. We'll have an all women's open mic, we'll have a black poets open mic or Latinx open mic. But one of the most fun shows that poets participate in are events called haiku death matches.
What was that again?
Haiku death matches. So you're taking the traditional format of haiku, 575 syllables or 17 syllables total, and you're doing these micro poems back to back, and you have in the audience judges voting on who had the better haiku. So it basically it's there really is no other way to describe it other than it's like an intense form of like battle rap meets the traditional Japanese format that's become bastardized in a way, because haiku is traditionally written to be about peace, calm, relaxing nature studies, whereas now you have people who like some of the most raunchiest, dirty sound haiku to compete with. So again, poetry is what you make of it.
So is this the first time you've worked in sort of a stream of consciousness?
I feel like stream of consciousness has always been a writing style, writing technique that I've utilized through my writing process before. Stream of consciousness is what we would describe as like, instead of going or like kind of like prefixing a theme or a topic when you're writing, you just kind of write continuously, write with the first things that come to mind. And I feel like a lot of like my beginning writing processes start with some form of stream of consciousness. The only difference between now and then is that back then, when the stream of consciousness stops, I would go back and then edit. I started picking out the parts that I think will work. I started removing fluff of it, and that's when we started like actually structure into a more structured concept, especially for competitions, especially for slam events.
So my follow-up was, if considering the volume that you've been have popped up maybe for the first time that you weren't expecting.
Absolutely. I take the approach of holding no expectations so that I'm always pleasantly surprised. And I would have to say throughout this whole process, I remain pleasantly surprised with the work that I've been able to create, as well as coming up with topics that I have been able to pull. I do find myself like in a hard time where, especially because I'm asking random people to give me topic, I do start hearing a lot of specific topics. The most popular people want a love poem for their significant other. Someone wants some personal words of acclamation instead of a lot of text. I do find myself sometimes recycling lines that I have maybe used before, or using a lot of similar themes and topics, but I still do challenge myself to try and read this as the indicator to this one specific person. And sometimes it has to be with the environment right now too. So like a lot of times one of us and we all are walking to different from the bars, etc. Right across the street over here. So I find that things like how you do with the night become pretty relevant in the poems that are written before things like neon, street lights, people having conversations with the pavement. So those lines I find that do kind of make a ray of curtains in people's poems, just because again the environment. I found like a lot of what I was writing about during Tasty Arts Festival, I was tying into like the themes of the century about tying themes and concepts away from home and agriculture, heat, and community for people, because we weren't at a major community event and celebrating and thinking of those assets that make the Central Valley community unique. Well, there we go. Any other questions? Yes.
What advice would you give to someone who wants to write poetry at beginner level, but they don't know where to start? And I know you've done workshops, so for like someone who wants to go to a workshop and maybe they're too shy to go because they've never written poetry.
Absolutely. Well, I think the most important part is, you know, to go for it. As blunt as it sounds, just start writing. But the next best advice I can give is start reading poets. Start consuming poetry as much as you can. I easily try to read at least 2 or 3 different poems a day, just from whether they're close friends to something that gets posted on social media, or I follow a lot of poetry accounts too. So I get to I set up a situation where I'm surrounded with poetry, where I will get exposed to poetry on a daily basis. So in a way, even on my social media feeds, I'm still exposed. So even if it's as simple as news scrolling, come across it, I'll come across a poetry related post eventually. So the best way to get involved with being aware is also to be an active. I find that you'll find more inspiration in that way. You'll find things that you really like. You find stylizations that really resonate with you, and you want to find a way to not imitate it, but then you'll be inspired to branch out with your own a lot of what I offer when I'm doing my writing workshops is by offering guided prompts. So the prompts will usually start with me reading a selected piece of poetry that is relevant to the theme. Then I will help the students generate some words or build up a word bank where these are words that we're all going to share. These are words that we're all going to try to utilize in the poetry. And then I give them a prompt question or give them the beginning of a sentence to use to get them started.
Do you ever read like poetry from the previous century?
What's that?
Do you ever read poetry from like the previous century, or is it all contemporary?
A lot of it is mostly contemporary poetry. I still do enjoy a lot of more traditional poetry. One of the first poets that I fell in love with back in grade school was Langston Hughes, and I still thoroughly enjoy Langston Hughes, even though in my one poem I had taken shots at Robert Frost. I still enjoy reading Robert Frost, and I still enjoy reading a lot of the beat poets like Amiri Baraka, Will Williams. So there is still, I think, a lot of inspiration in the poets. What I've also been trying to do is reading poetry from poets that weren't necessarily recognized in those academic settings, because even though we talk a lot about poetry and talking about old poets, the ones who are the most popular are, of course, old white men. And I am neither old and I'm not even fully white, so it's like me trying to find that connection and find, I think, poets and storytellers that I can resonate with or have some part of identity that I can connect with too. So a lot of like, that's the reason why I do a lot of contemporary poets, because more and then more poets that can represent out people of talent, women, queer, non-binary, defined others who deserve as much equal spotlights as the poets that we still read from back in the days.
Cool. I guess if there are no other questions, my last question would be, is there anyone in the crowd today that you want to write a poem about?
That is a good question.
I thought they should give you a bird and check us.
Absolutely. That's basically what I'm offering to do. So if there is someone that if you want to already want to do someone that they did yeah, you right there. What is your name? Well, that. Well, you got. Okay. We're going. Oh, well, that's.
Yeah.
Very happy that you were able to come, and I hope that you'll keep coming back to building this. It's a great resource for the community to be involved with. So if you're okay with it, I would love to write you a poem. That's okay. Awesome. Can you go ahead and set up over here? If you want to sit up here, you can. So water, two different options for typewriters. I have this one, which is the more traditional typewriter thing, and then you have the Cursus typewriters, which we can. Oh. No. I'm gonna do this where I can put the microphone down next to the typewriter, and hopefully it can capture the sounds of the typing. So let me go ahead and load this up real quick. Now comes the big question: what do you want your poem to be about? It can be, well, like I said earlier, a lot of the most common themes people ask for is I like writing the animation style do, but again, you know, make this as a unique, or you can, if you feel bold enough to challenge me as well, maybe the most random topic, and maybe I could take that out as well. I do, yes. Mm. Okay, yeah. The bond between a person and their pets. So I like that. So I myself have I have pets, so but I've had dogs before too. So do you have a dog? Nice. What kind of dog? Those are a great breed of dog too. My mom has a German Shepherd. It's a German Shepherd Husky mix. So um well, German Shepherds are a very great breed too. They're very loyal, and they're very they listen very well if you train them. So let's see what we can come up with for you. You can go ahead and do that.
Oh, yeah, pretty much, sorry. Well, I'm on the,
I'm actually getting pretty close. But that's kind of why I stick with station.
Yeah.
Because, the idea is to try to get as many of the homes out as fast as I can, but still, put some effort into this.
Let's take a walk. The second one of the day already, but this time we will take our time to circle the block. Pay closer attention to the trees between us, the sunset over the horizon, the squirrels that haunt us, but we are here now, taking time to count out the steps it takes to get to the park. The day breaks past the cloud and we begin heading home to become best friends again, share the warmth we find under this roof and call this bond eternal. I'm gonna make a couple of quick fixes on it, but then I will give it to you at the end. So that is an example of how a typewriter poem session goes. Again,
where'd you get your typewriter set? It's not exactly from eBay or is it?
I actually got lucky and found my first one on Facebook Marketplace. The guy was asking $50 for it because he thought it was broken. But when I found it, he had like a piece of tape on this back end where you're meant to like load in the paper. But he thought that this was the broken piece. But you know, his loss, my gain. And it just needed some little bit of cleaning. It came with a hard shell case. So to think that this machine is well over 60 years old and it still functions perfectly. So my idea that I had was that someone bought it and kept it in storage and never really used it again. So it almost functions like new. And this one, I also got lucky with my cursive typewriter. I found it off of Facebook Marketplace as well, but this time I found it off of a guy who actually knows a few things about typewriters, and he actually restores, refurbishes them for fun, and then sells them for a relatively reasonable price. So a typewriter like this that I have found similarly on eBay has gone up for over $300, but luckily the guy I bought it off of was only asking $100 for it. And then same deal with the typewriter that is on display here. That is a 1971 Sears manual type 1. And I found that for $40 as well. Same deal. The person just thought it was broken, didn't really know how to operate or clean them, or even like how to replace the ribbon. But you know, YouTube is your friend when it comes to this. So I definitely watched a lot of YouTube videos. I found a lot of online forums, and I even follow a lot of prominent typewriting accounts too that talk about some of the more unique machines that are out there that I would love to own one day, as well as talking about you know, just how to maintain and keep up with them. So there's definitely a lot of typewriter enthusiasts, but for as many typewriter enthusiasts as I've met, there's only a handful of us that I know that actually take the typewriters out and do the typewriter poetry. So, and that's the community I've really come close to. So,
Ball and then you exchange or actually that's the only.
it's actually a ribbon. So the ribbons come on like these old-fashioned spools. Yeah, so well, you can't really switch out the keys on them because this whole thing is like held together by at least 40 different springs and screws. So you think about just how intricate these machines really are. This machine alone is well over 1,000 individual parts. So you can't just simply like change out the piece that they call the cage, which holds all of the keys. It definitely
Balls.
yes. Some of them do. It's,
Different fonts.
yes, you can do that with some of the newer machines, but there's already so few companies that still produce typewriters. Yeah, the only companies that I know of are European companies like Olivetti or other typewriters that, you know, they will still create typewriters, but the Smith Corona company doesn't even make typewriters anymore. They make receipt paper. They make receipt paper. So in my opinion, that's quite a fall from grace from Smith Corona, which at the time was the biggest typewriter company in America. So I do feel like I could easily talk about just typewriters for the session. So I won't bore you with too many other details, but I'm still happy to answer any other questions.
To these forums, didn't even know what you're typing on, they know that's balls.
So there are a couple of people I will run into that
You remember working with typewriters, I do, but they are obviously people of a certain generation.
You got people that know that.
I do have some people like know what a typewriter is. Some of them have never seen a typewriter in person before. And then I do love like when I get the little kids who come up and are just curious, and then you see their mom and dad trying to explain that it's a typewriter. That's what we had to write on before the computers.
Thank you. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. That was awesome. Let's give him another hand. Well, Michael is here. You want to say a couple things, Michael?
Should I do what?
You want to say a few things about?
Good night. Sure. Oh, maybe we should have that introduction.
Yeah, we didn't do introductions.
My name is Michael Krebs, and I'm looking for introductions from those few people back there. You want to stand up and kind of say
Of course.
what your name is and what you do?
Oh. Yeah.
Okay.
Probably Bob Brown. Oh, okay.
poet progeny, actually, more activists. And I know she won't brag about it, but she is our new youth county poet laureate.
Fantastic. Wow.
That
And,
would be mom.
I see.
Yeah.
okay, you write poetry too?
I do sometimes.
Oh, good.
I enjoy it, but I don't share like our fellows.
Well, congratulations for your achievement there. Pretty spectacular. So do you give her?
I will give her the poem. I'm just gonna make a couple of quick edits.
Oh, okay.
Which is something I don't normally do in this process, but
See, you don't make mistakes. The typewriters, some of the keys are a little light, but.
yeah, so there's yeah, you can't really go back and edit on these. This is where like a lot of people use like whiteout. I just have I do keep a tub of whiteout in my travel bag for emergencies only. But I think a lot of people do like the misspellings and the little grammatical errors. I feel like it adds to the charm of the piece and
Gives it some grit.
It gives it some grit and it shows that it is an original piece. So.
Okay, very good. All right, well, thanks everybody for coming. Is there any other announcements? No?
The only announcement that I have tonight
I
is,
said, I announced that you should have 15.
yeah,
And you're right.
You
Yeah, if you have a second.
Yeah, use mine.
Okay, I will use it. So just here, having fun, and also we're going to place and want to share stuff that we have coming up. So we have youth classes are up, so ages 5 all the way to 17. We do have the partial and full scholarships. When parents sign up their children online, they can actually edit the amount right online. Just edit that price to what they can pay, or 0 if you want a full scholarship. So if you can share that, we want this to get in. We also have a lot of stuff happening for adult workshops. And oh, we also have exhibition proposals. Anybody that's wanting to get their artwork into Arts Visalia, we have, you can do that online on our website, artsvisalia.org. You look for artist opportunities and propose an exhibition. And the deadline is April 7th. So
This is for when?
so it is for 2027, 2028. Yeah. And let's see if we have anything else. Oh yeah, so we have a lot of adult classes. We're trying to really just fill up as many of the Saturdays and even Sundays as we can. So acrylic, watercolors, printmaking, and we do have the sketch, the monthly adult sketch class coming up. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but we get Benny Jordan comes in and teaches for a couple of hours, and people really love that. And if you haven't heard of Tea with the Directors, that's when you get to hang out for an hour with Tracy and myself, the 2 directors at Arts Visalia, and we just talk about, you know, the stuff that artists wants to talk about. Like last time we talked about how do you price your work, and it was really refreshing to just get a fresh, honest answer from all these artists, right? It's like some were like, well, I calculated like this, and some were like, just make them up as I go along. And, you know, it's just, you know, everybody's got their own technique and what they feel comfortable doing, and that's ultimately what it comes to. So if you have any of those kinds of questions, you know, maybe how to submit a proposal, that's also something you can ask about.
So you have it every month.
We're having it mostly every month except in the summer. But most every month we're gonna have 2 directors.
So there you have each month.
Yeah, so, and we have it all scheduled. It's on our Facebook group events. It's on our page at artsbycelly.org. If you go to adult classes, it's listed on there, which days they're happening. So the next one is Saturday, March 21st. All right, that is all. Thank you so much.
Oh,
As I am talking. So, if you would like to come experience, spoken words and poetry for yourself, we allow one monthly event on May 3rd Sunday at the Arts Consortium Gallery. And here is the next block over. And which means that our next show is coming up this Sunday, and we are featuring our current Grand Slam champion, Jamie Raposa, as a feature on our student. That is an open competition where poets sign up, they share their work, they get identified, and members of our audience win cap prizes of $100, and we do this monthly. And this is our last show that we are hosting for our brand new slam team. Goes to Albuquerque, New Mexico for our first big event of the season, which is Teaching Power Poetry Fest.
and what time is that? I mean,
The show, yes, the show starts at 2 o'clock and runs from 2 to 3:30 with a free creative writing workshop called the Lab Session, and then we start the poetry slam at 4 until 7.
very good. Thank you. And thanks to everybody for coming. Oh, wait, I got one more.
Just start. Our what? From our Zoom chat, we just have one from Mary Miller guest saying, hi, everyone. She's looking forward to hearing from all of our upcoming events, so. Thanks, Mary, for writing in.
Okay, I guess that's a wrap. Thanks, everybody, for coming.
Yeah, it's coming Sunday. Yeah, we would love to.
I'll lock the doors and then I'll head out.
Going out for that? Are you going out?
Yes,
Yeah.
so, the Arts Consortium